You ever have a kid in school, there's always the one kid that pranked everybody? The prankster, there was always the like jokester in school. Always getting in trouble, pulling pranks.
I was voted class comedian.
Were you really?
Yes, I was.
How many were in your graduating class?
Just me.
And you voted yourself?
No, I really was.
Class clown or class comedian?
Class comedian. I don't think we had a class clown.
No? Oh,
No.
okay, all right. Well, that's good to know, that's nice.
Yes. And we should welcome back our television guy, Joe.
Television guy.
Joe Trabucco, who's in here every day.
He was on a nice cruise. Did you have nice weather?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had ucky weather.
On our cruise?
Rained.
I didn't think so.
Well, you weren't. Then you weren't out of your cabin. Then it rained every day.
Half-
Every island you
half
went on to,
day.
it rained.
Half a day it rained and half a day it was nice.
Yeah, but it was. I had bad weather.
I was on the same ship as
I
you.
know. It just seemed like more bad weather than normal. I've never remember having that much rain on a cruise before.
When are we going to be talking about the next cruise?
Hopefully soon. Hopefully soon.
I hope so too.
Let's get to the summer first. I'm ready for some warm spring weather.
Me, you know what? April and May can both be lousy months.
Oh, I know. When does Passover start?
Just checked because I counted the number of people that are going to be at my home. And I said I had to find out what date it is.
Yeah,
April 14th.
April 14th? Okay.
Yes.
How many people are going to be at your house?
Around 20.
Oh, that's not bad.
If you're Stephanie and cooking by yourself, it's not.
But that's what she wants. That's what
does
she
want
likes.
that. Otherwise, she could order in.
Yeah.
She could ask so many people for help.
That's
but
not your biggest holiday, is it?
It's, I would say, second biggest.
Okay,
Yes. Second biggest. It's big. Yes.
all right. Okay.
Now, I know that Easter is right around, right?
It's the end of the month, I think. I think
No,
the week after.
it-
The 20th? Was the same
So
day as
that's-
Passover?
It's not the same day, it's the same
Oh, you're the
week.
14th. 14th, that's right. Okay, it's the 20th. Easter's the 20th. Okay.
Right. I just want to switch gears.
Easter's not like it used to be.
What does that mean?
When the kids were little, you know, to Easter to us was the Easter bunny and the baskets and things like that. And it's not the same anymore. Don't hit your head with that microphone over there. That boom will get you right.
I can remember, obviously I grew up, you know how many times I say this, like once a day, but I grew up in Bensonhurst, which was 3/4 Italian, 25% Jewish,
Mhm.
and 5% other,
Yeah.
so that made it 105% if you're counting.
Okay.
But the truth is that I can remember all the kids being in their best clothing,
Oh yeah, we always got new shoes, new
patent leather
dresses,
shoes.
the little white socks with little ruffles on
The
them.
boys were in suits,
Yeah,
and it's just so different today on Easter.
I know. We get so excited. We get our new patent leather shoes, and we get a pair of white socks with ruffles, and a pair of white leotards just in case it was colder out. My mother always dressed us the same, all three girls. We always were the same, even though I'm 5 years older than the middle, and then there was a year difference between the two younger ones. Always dressed us the same. Hats, we had to have hats. We got new spring jackets, like an actual Easter coat. And then we weren't allowed to wear it unless it was Sunday after that. And then the shoes, patent leather, white or black. And it's just not like that anymore. Although
And
the
there's
Easter parade
Church
over on the boardwalk.
in our neighborhood, St. Finbar's, where it seemed as if there wasn't a family that it didn't go to church on Easter.
You're talking a long time ago.
I'm talking, of course.
Well, a lot of families still do that. There's a lot of people that still, have that dedicated religion.
I'm sure there are. It just seems different. I mean, it seems like the biggest deal is that the mall is closed on Easter, and that seems to be what the holiday has become.
Is the mall closed on Easter?
It is. It's
How
one
about
of the
Kmart or Walmart? Because they're open on Christmas now.
Then I would think they're open on Easter. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But do you remember when when we were kids, stores were closed on Sundays.
Oh, yeah, well, the blue law.
Well, in New York, I don't think it was called the blue law. I think it was just stores were closed on Mondays.
Obviously, we had the blue law in
Sundays.
Monmouth County. We had to come down here to shop. They
They
still
do.
have it?
Yes, they do. But
When nothing is open on Sunday? I think it's kind of neat.
it's not nothing. There are certain things that are allowed to be open. Very complicated. But I'll try and explain. Any law that supports a law allows for you to be open. So for instance, it's against the law to drive with dirty windshields. So if you have a car wash, you can stay open.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
I can't think of another example.
how
but
about gas
you get
stations?
it. I imagine you can't drive with an empty tank.
So it has to be.
Exactly. And there's more other than just cars, but I just can't think of it.
No? I know, usually we would fill up on Saturday. You know, all the parents, okay, we gotta go fill up the car today.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember.
What kind of car did you have growing up? That's a,
Wait, my parents?
well, yeah, your parents. What did you ride around in? What was your car?
What was my car? We had a Pontiac Bonneville.
Oh, a big car.
Was that a big car?
Yeah,
Yes,
Bonneville's
I
a
can
boat.
remember maroon.
Okay.
Yes. What else did we have? We had a Cutlass. I'm not sure who
Well, that's
made
sporty.
that. It was really nice. It was like this.
Pontiac, I think. I think
No,
Pontiac's not a Cutlass?
Oldsmobile. I'm positive.
Oldsmobile Cutlass. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yes. That was a little later on, and my first car was
Your first car,
my first car. My parents gave me a hand-me-down,
of course.
which was a broken-down Buick. That was constantly. I spent more time fixing that thing than I did driving it. And then, let's see, I went into a Carmen Ghia, which was a lot of fun.
I had a boyfriend who had a Carmen Ghia, and this thing, we'd have to pop the clutch to get it going. I mean, I could picture us, me behind the wheel, him running down his cousin's driveway, pushing the car, and I had to pop the clutch,
Absolutely.
and then he'd have to jump in, and I have to go over to the other
Absolutely.
side.
Like Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh my God, and that car was so little.
It was little, and you couldn't get it moving.
Right.
Like getting it up to 50 miles an hour was like,
It couldn't get out of its own way.
it's true. I used to like put a boulder on the gas pedal and nothing. It just wouldn't move. They say the only way to have lost your license in a Carmen Ghia was to throw it out the window.
I like that. That was good. That was good.
Marianne, what did you do with your hair?
I'm so hot. I'm really,
All of a sudden, I glanced at you, and you're a different person,
I just put it up in a knot.
which I guess is a perfect segue to our guest. Let me welcome
Poof.
Mr. Larsen.
Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm just fine, thank you. How are you?
Are doing fine, thank you. And what a great day to have you on April 1st.
Yeah, I love that. Right. It's all
want-
one big practical joke. I know you're not even there.
We're
Yeah,
not.
we're
You're not
not.
talking to us at all. And you're not there either. This is
Right.
all in your imagination.
Is it all right if Marianne and I call you Milt?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Great. I know of you from what was known as the Lane Mansion.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And many of our listeners may not know the history behind the main mansion. So if you can help us out, I'd love to hear about it, including everything from the beginning through today.
Well, I'm having a birthday coming up, but I'm not that old. But the Lane Mansion was built in 1909. It actually started people living in it, and it was built by a fellow by the name of Roland B. Lane, who was a banker and sort of a real estate developer, as it turned out. But he built this house, which was a replica of a house in Redlands, California, that was built back in the 1880s, and it's a French chateau kind of style. We call it Victorian, but French chateau would be a little bit closer to the point.
I'm actually looking at a picture of it right now, and for anyone who needs an image, it does look like the kinds of homes we have here in Spring Lake. So
Oh.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please go ahead.
No, that's fine, but that's what it is. You know, when he built it in 1909, Hollywood was just named Hollywood a couple of years before that, and it was pretty much ranch land at that point. And there were a few big houses, but it was considered pretty much a ranch area. And I have a theatrical guide from 1906, and it describes Hollywood as a railroad stop 5 miles from Los Angeles. So the things have changed now with the Hollywood as it is today. But when Mr. Lane built it, it was his kind of dream house, and he admired this almost duplicate mansion in Redlands, and got the architects that did that to basically build the same house in Hollywood. So in 1909, it was a little out of place as far as it looked like a castle, you know, which, hey, wow, why don't we call it a castle?
But you grew up in a family full of magicians.
Darn
Right?
right, yep.
What was that? That had to have been really kind of neat. Did your mother pull practical jokes, or your father, or make the food disappear, or anything like that?
Something like that. Well, my brother and mother and father were all in magic. My brother was a little bit older than I was, but so I said I was born in a magical trunk. You know, you show the trunk empty, and then you open it up again, and I pop out.
And there he is. We had Joel Markel, who you're speaking with now. Well, I'm Mary Ann. That's Joel. At the holiday party, you had a magician there. Now, he pulled Milt this one trick. And I don't know whether you could give it away or not, but he did this one trick. My girlfriend and I are sitting next to each other. And he gave me a piece. No, he had cards in his hand. He put the cards out and he says, pick a card. All right, so I picked a card. He goes, now write your name on it. And I wrote my name on it. He took the card back and he folded it up. Now, in the meantime, my girlfriend had a wooden box, and she was sitting, I'd say, about 3 feet away from me. She had this wooden box, and he goes, okay. Now, he fans through the cards, and my card is gone with my name. She opens up the wooden box, and there's my card folded up into like an inch wide with my name on it.
Oh, yeah. That's very good, and I've seen kind of similar versions of that in magic.
But
and,
is that just a sleight of hand?
Well, you know, you asked how it was done.
Yeah.
And it was done very cleverly.
See, you won't give it away. A true magician.
A true magician.
And this is back in December, and I still think about this.
And, you know, well, you're looking in one direction, they'll do something in another direction. And
But I made sure I kept my eye. That's just it. I knew something like that was going to happen, so I kept my eye on him the whole time. And I'm still like in awe, like, how did he do something like this?
Oh, yeah. One of our better magicians, one of our best, Ricky J. was on last night on the Jimmy Fallon show, and he did a little magic trick for Jimmy Fallon that's absolutely impossible. I don't know how the heck he did it. So.
What did he do?
Oh, he had just, they were talking about poker, and he put 10 cards out on Jimmy's table.
Right.
And then he said he'd take a card from one end, and then Jimmy could take a card from any other end that he wanted. And then Ricky took another card from the opposite end. He said he'd always have to go the opposite end.
Right.
So he'd go the opposite end, and then Jimmy would take any card he wanted from the other end. And at the end of the thing, Jimmy had, 5 cards in a poker hand, and for not very good. I think he had 1 pair, and that was about it. And of course, Ricky Jay had a full royal flush, you know.
Oh,
And so, you know, and he wasn't doing anything other than doing really wonderful magic. And
I love magic.
so when you see the really top magicians, and that's all the performers that work at the Magic Castle are all the top of their.
I'm so glad you said that because, Milt, one thing in having read all about the Magic Castle is that it has continued to evolve in the world of magic.
Oh, yeah.
That it did not stay as a museum. In fact, what I read was that at one time it was a home for seniors. Is that right?
Well, after Mr. Lane passed away, it fell. You know, the family had it for a while, and then they later on they sold it. But really, during World War II, it fell into a bit of not disrepair, but it was kind of like a boarding house. They just rented out the rooms and kind of a flop house for visiting servicemen. And there's another story which may or may not be true, more than a flop house. But anyway, then the current owner bought it back in the 40s, and it really he had a hotel on the top of the hill. It's on a hill in Hollywood, and he wanted to have more of his hillside property. And so he bought it really without knowing what to do with it. And that existed for several years. It was just kind of a place where they rented out rooms, and in the 50s. And then I met Tom Glover, who was the owner of the property, in 1961, and we started talking, and I told him an idea for a club for magicians, and said, hey, you know, if nothing else, I'll restore your old house for you. You know? So we made a deal, and here we are 2 years later with the very popular Magic Castle.
Are you the largest would you refer to yourself as a magic school?
Well, we're the actually the castle is the only club of its kind in the world. There are other magic clubs all over the world, but normally they have meetings maybe once a month. There's a wonderful old club in London, but they're only about once a week they get together. And the castle's open 7 days a week, and we have 5,000 members, and that's an awful lot of magicians.
Fantastic. For those who may have just tuned in, you're listening to Preferred Company with Joel Markel and Mary Ann Levy, and our special guest today is Milt Larsen, who is talking to us about the Magic Castle. Milt, we're going to have to take a break. Are you able to come back with us?
Sure.
Fantastic.
No problem. I'll grab my cup of coffee that's about 12 feet away and be right back.
Enjoy. Okay, we'll be back after these messages. And with us today is Milt Larsen, speaking to us so appropriately on April 1st. Milt, I want to go back to the Magic Castle and then more into what I would say is a fascinating personal life that you've had.
Oh, great. Sure.
The Magic Castle, as I see it, is open to anyone who wants to visit. Am I right?
Well, it's a private club, and so you can't just walk in off the street and say, I want to see the Magic Castle.
Okay.
But you have to be a member of the Academy of Magical Arts, which is the organization. And then, but they give guest cards to people, and it's pretty open. You could go to our website, magiccastle.com, and get all the information on the thing. The 5,000 members I've talked about are half magicians and half non-magicians, because we figured out years ago that magicians need an audience. There's nothing duller than a bunch of magicians doing tricks for a bunch of magicians, you know. We have a wonderful. The castle itself is. It originally was a kind of a grand house for its day, about 6,000 square feet of house. But over the years, we've expanded and expanded and expanded. So you don't see it; you just see the grand old French chateau-looking castle. But it's gone from 6,000 square feet to 22,000 square feet. So that's quite a jump.
Now,
But,
I know that you can have dinner at the castle.
Yeah, the whole thing is that we have very, very good dinners, a very excellent chef, and we have 4 little theaters. The smallest of the theaters, like Marianne was saying, with the close-up, which is magician that just entertains with a pack of cards or bottle caps or rubber bands or whatever, and does miracles. And then we have another little theater. It's called the Parlor of Prestidigitation. Wow, I'm glad I got that one out.
Yeah, that's a big word.
Well, in the morning here in California, you got to do words like that. Usually I don't do them till later. But anyway, the parlor is for kind of stand-up comedy magic and just a little bit bigger. And then we have Palace of well,
That's a tough one.
the Palace, and that's a fairly large stage that we can do the big illusions and the big stage magic, but it still only holds 150 people. So, and then there's another smaller theater. It's kind of like a lecture hall theater. So there's magic all over the place, and every night of the week we have 7 to 9 professional magicians working there, you know, close up and stage and whatever.
But you have to be a
And they-
member to
and
get in, right?
Yep, you do have to do that.
And you have to be a past magician to be a member.
No, you don't have to be a magician. There are 2 forms of membership. One is what we call an associate member. That's a non-magician.
Okay.
They're the magician members. And the magician members can't just say, hey, I'm a magician. They have to, if they're not a well-known professional magician, they have to appear before a committee and do their act or whatever it happens to be, you know. And then if they're approved, they could be a member of the club, and then they have to be approved again if they want to be actually employed as an act in the club. And we change all the acts every week. Monday there's a whole new group of 7 magicians. So
Okay.
Milt, tell me if I have my facts right. Your dad was a criminal attorney?
right, yeah, he was back in the 20s and 30s.
And a magician.
Well, as I understand it, he was fascinated with magic, and this is all part of...
No, he was. His dad bought him a little magic set back when he was a kid, and he never outgrew it. But at one point in his career, he back when I was about 6 years old, in the mid-30s, that's during the Depression, and my dad had some rather unsavory clients. They were kind of left over from Prohibition, and he didn't feel it was the best situation to bring up kids with gangsters, you know.
Yeah.
So he just decided to take the family and go out playing resort hotels and things in the mid-30s, and we were the Larsen family of magicians. And
Did he actually give up law?
yeah, at that time, and he never totally gave up law because he kept his bar license and everything, but he effectively gave up law until after World War II, and then he settled down and bought a magic company at that point, and went back to law. But unfortunately, my dad died at only 48 years old, and right in the middle of kind of resuming his law career, but never got to that. But he always had the idea of maybe doing a club for magicians, and he published a magazine. My dad and mother published Genie magazine, which is still going into first issues out in 1936. It's having its long birthday, but and the family sold them. It's published in Washington now, but at any rate, I've had a career which is just all going down the path of magic. Everything I've done, and I've got the autobiography book out, and it likens my life to going down a railroad track, and the track is magic because everything I've done, whether it's in TV or movies or whatever,
Now I understand,
it all
Milt.
comes back to kind of magic. No matter what I do, it seems to be pulling rabbits out of the hat.
One of the magical things that you've done with your life is that you were a writer for Truth or Consequences.
Oh yeah, my favorite job. But I was lucky enough to get a job as you call it an idea man back in 1956, and that was the year Bob Barker started doing Truth or Consequences, and they needed writers to come up with more and more ideas because instead of one show a week, they were doing 5 shows a week. So I was hired as an idea guy, and very quickly graduated to the rank of full-time writer, and that job lasted on and off 18 years. So I had a great life. I love the show. Was they say, what do you write on a show like Truth or Consequences? Don't the contestants just say funny things? And of course they do, but you have to give them a premise that puts them in a position to say funny things. And of course, Bob Barker was the world's greatest MC. I mean, he could take 2 or 3 people and talk to them, and all of a sudden they'd be hilarious. And we never wrote one line for them to say. Well, we wrote situations where they were almost inclined, and Bob would lead them into doing very funny things. Whether it was we did a lot of reunions, putting people together that hadn't seen each other, but I'd always tie that into magic tricks. Put them in some place they're not supposed to be, and then we did a lot of practical jokes. That today there's a lot of hidden camera things, but when we were doing it back in the 50s, it was very uncommon. So it was a great life. I've over the years I've written a lot of other TV and things, but I guess if I had to say what's my favorite show I've ever done, it would be Truth or Consequences.
Milt, before we start wrapping up, I do want to ask you, in your bio it says that you and your late brother were honored with stars on the Hollywood Boulevard's Walk of Fame.
We're very proud of that.
I'm sure you should be. Tell me a little bit about that and when you were bestowed that honor.
I think that was in 2006, and it was about the time we were having a 50th anniversary of a stage show that we do every year. It's called It's Magic, and it plays the performing arts centers up and down the West Coast. And matter of fact, we just did one this Sunday in Folsom College up in the Sacramento area, and then next week we're down in Palos Verdes area with this all show. Anyway, they were celebrating the anniversary of It's Magic, and because of that, they also honored us with the Star on the Boulevard. And I write songs with Richard Sherman, who Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Small World and all that. And the Sherman Brothers stars across the street from my stars. And so it's the Sherman Brothers on one side of the street and the Larsen Brothers on the other side of the street. So we're always kidding about that one. it's you know, it's
Milt
not
Larsen,
too often.
you have a lot to be proud of. You brought joy and magic into this world, and I can't think of anything sweeter than that.
Well, that's wonderful, and you know, it's a never-ending situation. The castle itself is doing the best business it's done since we started, and it goes on and on. We have so many loyal magicians and loyal fans, and as long as you have that, you know, it's a great life.
Well, Milt Larsen, I want to thank you for being on Preferred Company today with myself, Joel Markel, and Mary Ann Levy. We do hope that you pop back in here and visit us again.
Anytime, you just let me know, and I'll be with you. I love talking.
We
And
will
happy
do that.
birthday to you on the 9th.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll be a
Take
child
care.
of 83. Good God.
Wow, well, they say, where does it go?
Where
You,
does
as you as a magician should know that. Where did it go?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
It
thank
vanishes like magic, you know.
that's
Yes,
it.
it is. Milt Larsen, thank you once again for being here. And Marianne and I will be back after these messages.
Okay, 30 seconds, Joel.
All right. You've been listening to Preferred Company with myself, Joel Markel, who just stuck himself with a plastic piece, and Marianne Levy on 1160 WOBM 1310. She and I will be back tomorrow for more Preferred Company
And Match Wednesday.
and Match Wednesday. If you meet a nurse or a home health aide today, please say thank you from Joel at Preferred.